To take his wife's money, the husband locked her in an asylum. Arthur, a cold and ambitious man, had meticulously planned his scheme against Clara, a kind-hearted woman and heiress to a great fortune. Using lies and manipulation, he convinced doctors and family members that Clara was losing her sanity, when, in reality, it was his own greed that threatened to destroy her. The asylum where Clara was sent was an old convent, isolated in the mountains. The place, dark and damp, had an oppressive atmosphere that made the patients feel as if they would never leave. The nuns running the facility treated the patients with an unsettling coldness. Every corridor was a labyrinth of locked doors, muffled screams, and shadows that seemed to have a life of their own. Clara, confused and terrified, was taken to a dark cell where she was told she would stay until she got better. But she soon realized that no one in that place was meant to recover. On her first night, she woke to the sound of distant screams and shuffling footsteps. Through the grate on her door, she saw nuns carrying an unconscious patient while murmuring prayers in Latin that sounded more like curses. While Clara endured the nightmare of the convent, Arthur celebrated his freedom. With his wife's fortune now under his control, he lived in luxury, surrounded by parties and excess. But at night his conscience began to haunt him. He repeatedly dreamed of Clara, screaming for help behind bars. Whispers echoed through his house, and he felt as though he were constantly being watched. At the convent, Clara began to gather strength. Despite her fear, she started noticing details. Some patients simply vanished, while others seemed to be victims of cruel experiments. One day, an elderly nun with a kind look approached her and whispered, "You are not crazy. This place is hell, but there is a way out. Trust me." Guided by the nun, Clara began her escape. Along the way, she discovered hidden rooms where patients were tortured and corpses were discarded. The screams echoing through the walls weren't just memories, they were evidence of the atrocities committed there. As Clara ran through the cold night, Arthur was tormented by visions. In the mirror of his house, he saw Clara's reflection pale, with her eyes fixed on him. The words, "You cannot escape," began to appear in the fog on his mirrors, and he could no longer tell what was real. When Clara finally managed to escape the asylum, she was fragile but determined. She exposed the horrors of the convent to the world and revealed Arthur's role in her wrongful imprisonment. The ensuing scandal destroyed the greedy man. Arthur lost everything: his fortune, his freedom, and his sanity. Locked in a small room, he spent his days hearing Clara's whispers and feeling the weight of his sins. As for the convent, it was shut down, but the secrets and horrors that lived within its walls would never be forgotten.